I play Jean Raymond, who was Paul Raymond's second wife. We don't really go into the story of the first wife, but they had 2 children together, and the story kind of starts with their life when they were happily married, and she was a choreographer. She choreographed a lot of the earlier performances of at the Raymond Revue Bar, and they were quite happily married for about 10 years, and they had quite an open relationship. She put up with and turned a blind eye to all his numerous affairs, and then he met a lady called Fiona Richmond, who he eventually went off with, and at which point Jean goes to Miami with her son, leaving her daughter with Paul, and has a very nice time in Miami and ended up getting one of the biggest divorce settlements ever in the history of England. Well, I was sent the script and I read it, and I went and met Michael and gave him my thoughts, and we talked about it, and he offered me the part, and I jumped at it. I'd always wanted to work with Michael primarily, and I thought it was just a great story. I didn't know who Paul Raymond was, and I hadn't heard of the Revue Bar. And now, since doing the movie, anytime anyone asks, "Oh, what are you working on?" they've all got a Paul Raymond story. Well, usually when you're playing a character that's has actually existed, you're telling a story of someone in real life, you get your hands on as much research material as possible, like so you can see how they walk or how they talk, and being careful not to do an impersonation. But in this instance, there wasn't very much to go on with Jean. She obviously didn't like the limelight that much, because there's very, very little, well, there's no footage of her at all actually talking, and there's 4 reference photographs, and then her infamous porn shoot. So we just, from reading all the articles that her son had done and talking to Michael and basically learning more about the different times and eras, and learning about the Revue Bar and what part of that story she played. And we kind of, accent-wise, he wanted me to keep a soft northern, because she was northern. And so I had... I didn't have free rein, but there's no one alive to be able to go, no, she wasn't like that. Just told my part of the story, made it as truthful as I could. Well, I think it's Steve's job to talk about Paul. I think he's done so much research, and there's lots and lots of footage. I think he's got the voice exactly. He looks exactly like him. Well, I think meeting Steve for the very first time, I felt incredibly relaxed, because it turns out that we're born 15 minutes away from each other. I'm Rochdale, he's Middleton, so I think when you hear those dulcet northern tones, it just breathes familiarity. You're like, oh, you're from the same place. So there was an immediate bond with that, and he's lovely to work with. I think there's so many comedians in this film, all incredibly witty, and because there's so much improvisation, I could have been intimidated by that, because often the scene doesn't finish until Michael says cut, so even if your scripted dialogue's finished, you have to keep improvising, which is fine, but when your references are in 1954 and you're talking about dance moves and stuff, you've got to be on the ball and on your game. But Steve makes it really easy. We just all the time made it that Jean and Paul just bicker all the time. But he's a lovely man to work with. I've really enjoyed it. Michael's process, he just makes it so you're so comfortable and you know what you're doing, so you don't really rehearse anything that's not on film. You're immediately shooting. So by the time you've done it 24 times, there's a natural ease that comes with it. And I think it's not until you've been working with Michael for a while that you go, oh God, I didn't see that the scene would go there. And you feel he just makes sure and guarantees that it's all incredibly naturalistic, almost to the point of like it's a documentary. The difficult thing about the changes of the eras has been that we've had to do it sometimes 3 changes in a day. So I've gone from dark tanned and blonde to 1950s beehive, and then to age 56, all in one day. So and you've got to be really quite quick. There's wigs and stippling for the aging makeup. So I think it's just keeping your concentration and not just being aware that you're sitting in a makeup chair. But no, I think it's nothing more than fun. I've loved all that. It's been so nice. It's almost like doing 3 films in one. So nothing ever gets monotonous or samey. From when we started the film, you're literally surrounded by naked women constantly and breasts in your face, and you see their absolute acceptance. It's like their dress, they're so nonchalant about it. So I thought I've got to take a, draw from that and not be self-conscious, but it was kind of strange. My daughter saying, "What are you doing today, Mummy?" "Oh, I'm working with a tiger." Didn't say I was naked on one. Well, often your friends or people you bump into will say, "What are you working on?" And whenever I've said this story, they've been incredibly fascinated, because everyone seems to have a story about Paul Raymond, and it hits a certain generation. And the people that don't know about it, the younger generations, I think, are just in for a really good ride. It's like anyone who liked 24-hour party people will love this. It's completely different, but I think it's just as entertaining, and it bodes very well for a great soundtrack, and just visually it's going to look great. I love how it's going to start off in all 1954's movie black and white. Well, he's definitely unique. I couldn't compare him to anyone I've ever worked with. He's got his absolute definite own style, and he just creates such an atmosphere of ease that then breeds creativity. It's like sometimes it doesn't feel like you're going to work. There's such a relaxed atmosphere, and he's really, really with you. And I'd heard so many stories. You don't ever have hair and makeup, and you stay in character. And you never listen to what other people say. Always wait till your own experience. But I'd jump at any chance to work with him again. I've really, really loved it.